As of lately, I've been working on a tank CP video for the last few days, and while working on it, I was testing every CP node. Once I got to cutting defense, it was, how do I say this, terrible and misleading. If I told you I know a skill that can do 1 to 2,000 damage every 20th a second, you would say for a tank, that's probably pretty good. Well, in certain circumstances, cutting defense can actually do this. Cutting's defense says whenever you take damage from an enemy within 7 meters of you, you do damage back to them. This damage scales off your resistances and doesn't have a cooldown. Along with this, it says it applies your weapon enchants. This, however, was bugged a while ago, and while testing I wanted to see if it was fixed. Let's start out by looking at whether or not weapon enchants are actually proccable, as they're pretty easy to test. If we walk up to this ad, we can check if it procs the enchant. We can see that it in fact does work, so this must have been fixed. Now for the part of the CP that makes absolutely zero sense. Why is the damage on this CP basically zero? With 32k resistances, cutting defense does a whopping 533 damage. This value is, well, extremely low. You would expect this value to be a bit higher because enemies in ESO only hit you every second or so, sometimes even slower. But maybe this is because I didn't have enough resistances or I'm not being hit enough to see the true damage potential of this. Well, on PTS I may have stacked everything for this CP and it still turned out terribly. I made a kind of scuffed build on PTS that had 62k resistances and sometimes 70k. I don't know what the reason for the random 70k was, but anyway. I then went with this build to the first ad pack in Hellraw to get as many hits as possible. And well, it only did about 5k DPS. This is extremely low for getting hit upwards of 300 times in a minute, even though I think it was even faster than this, but you can see from this video how fast they're hitting me, and it's doing basically nothing still. While I would expect the single target damage to be terrible, as it's still just one ad hitting you over and over and over again at the same speed, with all of these ads hitting me, I would assume the overall DPS would be a bit higher, but, you know, it's not. One thing that I didn't take into account while making this is penetration. However, it doesn't really matter. It's so bad, having max pen isn't going to change anything. I can only assume because it's a passive they didn't want to make it too strong, but the damage on the CP is so bad I wonder why it even exists. This video was made without any thought put into PvP because I really just don't care. PvP is something I will never understand, but I have the feeling doing 400 damage to a player every second or so isn't going to make or break a build. But I hope you enjoyed this quick video, and thanks for watching.